Fentanyl is still a major issue across the country. So where does the crisis stand in Fort Wayne?
Is it getting better or is it getting worse? Wayne 15's Marcus Truscio sat down with the Drug Enforcement Administration to ask those questions and got an inside look at where drugs wind up once they're seized in this Wayne 15 exclusive. Marcus.
We report on drug busts and SWAT situations somewhat often, but what happens to the drugs after the fact? I was the first reporter to tour the newly renovated North Central DEA lab in Chicago to catch a glimpse of the process. Just a note, the stats in this story are from 2023, which is the latest set of numbers as it takes time for this data to be compiled.
According to Fort Wayne police, overdoses are edging down over the last 7 years after reaching a peak in 2020. And overdose deaths are down significantly in the last 3 years of data, hitting below 100 for the first time since 2016. Chip Cook is in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA's Northern Indiana office.
What you're seeing in Fort Wayne with the decline in overdose deaths very much matches what we are seeing nationally, and that is good news. However, we still are losing nationally 84,000 Americans a year.
So for a city like Fort Wayne, how do drugs, especially the very deadly fentanyl, get here?
Those chemicals that produce that illicit fentanyl begin in China, sometimes India. They make their way to Mexico, the Mexican cartels.
And from Mexico, Cook says almost all fentanyl comes right over the southwestern border to major hubs.
Well, as you move up from the southwestern border, right, and we talk about places like Houston as an example, San Diego, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Arizona.
And from those southern cities, fentanyl comes to Midwestern hubs.
I think of Indianapolis as an example. It's a large city. It's very close to us here in the northern part of Indiana, and it just spiders out from there.
Spiders out to smaller cities nearby, like Fort Wayne. And yes, people working for Mexican cartels are in the Summit City as well.
We definitely have the influence of the Sinaloa cartel and the Jalisco cartel, which is sometimes referred to as CJNG, Cartel Jalisco Nuevo Generacion. Those are the two big monsters in the room, the elephants in the room, and they are certainly driving operations from the southwestern border, but they have connections, they know individuals, they have people that are working as part of their network here in our communities.
This video is from 2020 on Spring Street in Fort Wayne, where a man was arrested on drug charges. Police say he was, quote, distributing massive amounts of meth and fentanyl. He was known to work closely with cartels. In 2023, more than 3,700 grams of fentanyl and 7,000 grams of cocaine were confiscated in Fort Wayne. Together, that's about 24 pounds. 3,700 grams of fentanyl is enough to potentially kill 1.8 million people. And when those narcotics are confiscated in northern Indiana, it's sent here to the DEA lab in Chicago. But this lab doesn't just see drugs confiscated in Indiana and Illinois. It actually is from 12 states, from the Dakotas to Ohio. So it holds a lot of drugs, or evidence, as it's now referred to since it has been confiscated.
46,246 pieces as of our last inventory, which was almost a year ago. We practically do all of DEA, as well as FBI, ATF, Customs, Border Bureau of Prisons, and all of their little agencies up under them. We do a courtesy of analyzing their evidence as well.
The evidence is held here before testing.
I've got this batch of evidence that I'm going to turn over and give it out to some chemists so that they can analyze it.
I'm going to be taking these tablets, putting them in here, crushing them, and then putting the powder in here for me to add solvent to. The whole goal is to determine what controlled substance we have here, because we can't make an assumption of what controlled substance we have. At our lab, we analyze exhibits for the absence or presence of controlled substances so that we can testify to those results in court, as well as make reports for agents.
I did a couple of tests to ID the presence of fentanyl.
That's 2 kilograms of fentanyl, or about 4.5 pounds. That's just 2 pieces of the more than 40,000 pieces of evidence stored here.
This stuff is taken, broken down, and you can either sell it as is, or it could be pressed into pills or things like that.
And what about the apparent Louis Vuitton logos pressed into the powder?
And those are calling cards, identifiers to know where they came from. My analysis on all this is all done. I will package all this stuff back up again, and then I'll write up a report of my findings, and it'll send it off to whoever seized it, and then they do whatever they need to with that.
And after that report is filed, back to the vault.
The evidence specialist takes control of it and places it into a vault, this type of area, to keep it for safekeeping until they go to court, or until at which time it might get destroyed if it's not needed for court.
As for that destruction process, that is top secret. Marcus Truscio, Wayne 15 News.